Corepunk is finally here, ladies and gentlemen, and I've been waiting for over 3 years to make a video like this one. Finally get the chance to explore early stages of the game. Artificial Core sent out a wave of keys to thousands of early signups to explore a limited part of Corepunk, and boy oh boy, so far it looks very promising. Getting started with Corepunk though can be pretty confusing, especially if you aren't familiar yet with MMO gameplay mechanics. So for today's video, I spent the entire day exploring the alpha build and share basically everything you need to know about it, so you can explore it yourself and enjoy it to the fullest. So without further ado, let's get right to it. Very important, Corepunk is currently in an alpha stage, so that means all the information talked about today can change before the full release. While I think the majority will stay the same, it took me a pretty long time to document all the information you need to know about the early stage though, so it would be very much appreciated if you can take 1 second of your time, hit that like button, and of course share your thoughts about Corepunk in the comments down below. I'm very much looking forward to hearing what you think about the game. Anyways, let's get straight down to business. Alright, so first off, we have the character creation. Before you set foot in the game, you of course need to create a character and choose your preferred class. The current alpha version has 3 playable classes: the Warmonger, the Champion, as well as the Bomber. While there are only 3 playable classes, you can choose 6 different icons, and this is basically because you have male and female. For this guide, I decided to go with a Champion Destroyer. It's also worth noting that all the progression you make during this early stage will be wiped, so you will lose everything. So I definitely think it's interesting to check out all the different classes, as you can make multiple characters. So when you talk to a character, you can basically start a new quest. You have different interaction options. You can press yes, no, or return. In this case, we want to advance to the quest acceptation. I recommend you to keep your tips and tricks open. For example, for the quest tracking right here, what you want to do is click on the quest. You can always press play, and then there will be a small audio log. For walking around, you will just right click on the floor, and this will automatically bring your character to that location. If you press L, you can lock or unlock your camera and basically go to other places while you still have your limited vision. Anyways, if you open up the map, this is where you want to go. You just want to follow this road and you will go to the southern house. Right here, you will just click on the table and you will be able to inspect and pick up the newcomer form, which you want to pick up with the right mouse button, and continue your way towards the north. Be sure to check out your surroundings, as you can come across these things you can interact with. Just right click and you'll be able to destroy them for additional loot. Especially food management is a tough cookie to deal with early game, as you don't have standard HP regeneration. Right here, by the way, we see our first enemy, which is also displayed on the minimap. So you always want to be careful when you see these red dots. If you get too close, you will basically aggro them. I think this is a pretty useful tip for the early game if you want to find enemies for your quest objective. Right here, we already spot 3 red dots, as you can see. Mutant rats, which you have to defeat for a certain quest line in the early game as well. If you continue your way to the north from the southern house, you will basically stumble upon this smaller part of the village where you can interact with Zogar, who will give you a first quest for woodcutting. While this is where you can kill plenty of these little birds. If you kill them, you will basically get poultry leg, increase your HP generation for 0.8 for 15 seconds. Pretty nice food to get your hands on early, so you just want to take out all the chicks. Same counts for the carrots right here. So we get some mana regeneration, HP regeneration, more mana and HP. If we open up the map, you can see that a little bit more to the northeast, we will find the entire village. This is where you can interact with Martha Big Mama Patterson. Pick up one of the most important quests to get introduced to cooking, which will make restoring HP and mana values so much easier. Right here, you can also pick up the recipe egg salad, for which you're gonna need onion, salt, cabbage, 2 eggs, and a carrot, which are pretty easy to come across during your adventures, so I definitely recommend you to pick up this one. The only thing you have to purchase from the lady is salt. To the north of the village, you will find the bank. If you interact with Oswald, you can basically store items you found during your adventures in this place with up to 70 slots of storage. Be sure to walk a little bit to the south to this exact spot, the wheat tent. If we zoom out, this is where you'll be able to find it, right in between the southern house and the main village. As right here you will have Zoltar Blipchain. If you interact with him, he also has a quest for you, for which you will have to diminish the mutated rat population. This quest is perfect to combine with baking independence, for which we have to bring wheat flour to Big Mama. As inside these fields you can interact with the wheat sacks, pick up the wheat seeds, and in the same zone you will come across these red dots, which are basically the small mutant rats or bigger mutant rats, which you want to take out for the rat tails. Voila, that's our first one. There we go, we just leveled up, so we unlocked ability learning. For the Destroyer, I think Warcry is pretty nice to increase bonus HP, while with the Charge you can quickly dash into combat or run away from enemies if you're in trouble. While it has the same cost, it has much lower cooldown, which is something I absolutely love for increased maneuverability. You'll also come across these fences and you feel like you have to walk around them. Well, if you just walk straight towards them, use your spacebar, you can easily make that jump. Voila! Be sure to take out all the scarecrows you come across, as they also have a small chance to drop a head item. This one is exclusive to the Warmonger class, but you can also sell these for a nice amount of gold. When you engage combat with an enemy, you will automatically attack it until you cancel your actions. In the settings menu, you can switch your movement from attacking the nearest enemy to attacking your nearest enemy to your cursor. So there are different options if you want to focus different targets. I recommend you to use Smart Cast to cast abilities a little bit faster. After taking down a couple enemies, you will quickly realize that your HP will not generate. So at a certain point, you won't really feel safe to continue combat. We killed 6 out of the 10 rats, but of course want to continue with this quest. So what I recommend you to do is get back to that welfare kitchen. So you want to click on the cooking station right here and make as many wheat flours as possible. This of course will increase your cooking level, and you're only going to need one of these to complete the quest. Look at that, our cooking just went from level 1 to 6. Anyways, let's talk with the mama right here and complete the quest line to get her hands on a ton of bread, salt, sugar, and different recipes for the cooking. Before you use any of the snacks you come across, be sure to sit right in front of a campfire. Press right click, which will increase your food efficiency by 200%. While if you interact with these kind of campfires, you can see that we will slowly regenerate both of them. And right now, if we eat the bread, for example, you can see that it goes super fast. So you want to make sure that every time when you're inside a village or near one of these campfires, you restore all your HP and mana so you can continue your adventures, take out enemies without a problem. For the questline A Spark in the Dark, you're gonna have to gather wood, which can be pretty confusing as you have trees all over the place and you can't gather them. Simply click the wood, which you can find right here, to start gathering, and this is how you will get your hands on it. This is how you unlock making a campfire, which is a lot easier than it seems. And the nice thing is, once you finish this quest line, you can start dropping your own campfires, which, if you interact with them, will also give you this campfire warmth, which gives health regeneration and also mana regeneration, as well as that food efficiency boost, which we've talked about earlier. So you can go ahead and eat some of that bread to make HP regeneration a lot faster. Again, this questline can be picked up at the wheat tent at the very beginning of the game. Unfortunately, in the current early access stage of the game, finding wood is almost impossible, and the recipe to make campfires is even more broken. So this is something I definitely don't recommend you to waste your time on. Instead, you should just visit the campfire, which you can find right next to the welfare kitchen in the very center of this region. As this is where you will find many other players also resting to regenerate their HP, as this is currently the only efficient way to do this without breaking bank or losing a ton of time and resources. If you die, you basically have 4 to 5 minutes to release your spirit, which can happen if you're getting in a little bit too much trouble. Which brings you to the world of the dead. So now with your spirit, you basically have to make way to your corpse. So if you open up the map, you can always see the location of where exactly you died. So you just want to walk towards that. When you get closer to your body, I recommend to stand as far away from your corpse as possible so you won't trigger any enemies. press accept, and retrieve the loot which dropped when you died. The nice thing about jumping over fences is that most enemies won't be able to follow you. So if we just quickly press or jump, look at that. We can basically outplay some simple AI pathing. In your inventory, you can also find a returner. This allows your hero to move to the last remembered location. If you open up the map though, this basically brings you all the way back to this portal where you started your adventures in Corepunk, in the Dusktide Forest. This place is filled with high-level creatures though. Definitely be sure to stay on the road as it is surrounded with higher-level creatures. Instead, I recommend you to stick to the Golden Field town, as right here you will find many more creatures of low level. Easier to make progression. If you trample pumpkins to the western part of the Golden Field town, you can basically pick up both pumpkin seeds and peace pumpkins, which are required to craft certain dishes at the cooking station. Look at that, this time we got our hands on a Grinning Gourd helm, which also exclusively is armor for the Warmonger class. But as long as we keep smashing those scarecrows, we should be able to find one for our own class. Another Grinning Gourd helm. This time we found one for the Bomber class. Seems like I'm a little bit unlucky today. A little bit to the west of the town, you will find Hank Granger. If we open up the map for a second, this is where you will find him. A very nice NPC which allows you to purchase all sorts of armor. So if we talk to him right now, you can see that he sells different types of Warmonger pieces of armor. Same counts for the Bomber. And in the final tab right here, you can also find champion gear. If somehow you manage to make a ton of gold in the early access build, you can also purchase the Ronin set right here as champion. It without doubt shows a different set on another class, but I'm sure this is going to be pretty difficult to do in the current stage of the game. You know what, let's just purchase the steel quarterback helmet right here, which we can use as a cosmetic item. Look at that, now looks like a swimming helmet. Everything you find or gather during your adventures barely has any value when you sell it to the merchants, while if you take out simple enemies like rats, finding gold is going to be so much easier. Gonna give you about 1 gold more or less, sometimes a little bit more. You should definitely check out the borders of the starting zone, as this is where you will not be in too much danger for higher level mobs, while you can encounter different types of resources right here, like trees, ore, and fibers, which you can interact with to gather herbs, chopping down trees, and also mining ore. Look at that, we just got our hands on a transparent leaf, a rarer type of resource, pretty hard to find as it's transparent. You can even come across squirrels right here, which you can take out to gather their fur. It's actually pretty easy to determine where you can get your hands on wheat or corn. This particular region is a cornfield, while the more orange ones are the ones with wheat. So this is another cornfield. If we go to the south, this is another one where you can find them. So definitely interesting to know if you want to get your hands on these resources as quick as possible. Now I'm headed towards the southwest, going back to the Golden Field town. Quickly gonna pick up some of these corns so I can make some sweet crispy chicken. If you need any type of regular food, you should head a little bit to the north from the welfare kitchen, as this is where you can find Ivy Clarkson. If you interact with her, you can purchase cabbage, carrot, blueberries, eggplants, onions, cheese, and even all sorts of dishes which you can instantly eat from the get-go, so you don't have to waste your time gathering all these resources. And sometimes this can even be cheaper than harvesting them all yourself and then purchasing some salt from Big Mama afterwards. Anyways, let's cook some crunchy chicken, which increases our HP regeneration by 3.3 for 20 full seconds. Alright, so there you have it. Pretty much everything you need to know to get started with Corepunk in the early access stage of the game. Personally, I really enjoyed the first hours in Corepunk, while I also have a slight feeling that there is not much to do other than completing those first quest lines and taking down those starter zone mobs. If you're wondering why the progression is going very slow, they actually did this on purpose, so you can explore pretty much everything this starter zone has to offer, a pretty limited region of what the full game will have in store for us. Of course, if you want to unlock everything in this region, there's without doubt plenty more to do, while I'm just gonna patiently wait for the game to make more zones available and have a better look on how the pace of progression is gonna be. If you enjoyed watching this video, be sure to hit that like button, you have no idea how much that helps out the channel, and share your thoughts about Corepunk in the comments down below. I am very much looking forward to hearing what you think of the game. I'm definitely gonna do more Corepunk videos in the future, so if you want to stay tuned, be sure to subscribe. Right now though, it is 4 AM out. I want to wish you an amazing day. I'll catch you in the next video or live stream. Take care. Peace.